those who are on the Google Meet as well as on YouTube. So we are on the way for the second session. In the first session, we have already introduced you the ChatGPT, and you have learned how ChatGPT can be utilized. So can anybody on the Google Meet on the chat bot write the keywords which we have used in the previous last session, which ChatGPT has, we have given them on the prompt. So would you please write down what keywords? For example, first word was a text completion of the text. Second was, can anybody recall? You can, yes, transformation. Very good, Mariam. Another one. Another keyword. Classification. Very good. Text generation, summarizing. Very good. I mean, something we have done with the classification part, we have done with the sentiment analysis as well. Thank you very much. I think deep learning is actually a terminology we studied, but we haven't used as an action word in the last discussion. So very good. Okay, thank you very much for your input. Okay, now we come back to this today's session. Those who are new, my name is Syed Mushahid Hussain Hashmi, and I have given you a small introduction earlier. So the content of today's session would be, I would just give you a glance over the AI tools which people can use in the classrooms. By the way, we have designed this course in the manner in which the first part, the day one, we have focused on the introduction part. So you have learned as a tool what the tool is and what how it works and how it is developed and what we can do for the tools, using the tools. And we have used some of the small cases. Today we are focusing on for teachers, for learners. I mean, it is not necessarily specific for teachers, but those who want to learn things. So to me, teaching is nothing, just learning. So once you have learned it, you're in a position to tell others. I would start the discussion with a short quiz and a mind map for ChatGPT, what actually comes into the head when you talk about ChatGPT for teachers. And this is obviously, I have made it using ChatGPT. Then I will talk about prompt engineering. We have already learned this term prompt. Today we are going to discuss what is actually meant by prompt engineering. Then I would go into the discussion about how ChatGPT can be used for student support and their learning and understanding process. And then we will focus on either way, whether it is a student or a teacher, I can use the one single word from learner support. So whether you are from the student perspective, whether you are from the teacher's perspective, both are actually the learning. So these are actually actually the same thing. Then in the end, we would focus on how ChatGPT can be used in the classroom. So this is something for today's discussion we have. And we can have your some of those who are on the Google Meet could tell me to write their prompts of their interest. So or maybe if we got a time, we could do that. Okay, so you see there's so many tools available for AI, and some of them are text to text, some are from text to image, and so is a huge possibility. But we are focusing on just the classroom. So first on the list is the ChatGPT, and there's so many others. So Canvas is another platform, like learning management system, and where Canva Magic can write. And there's something like some other tools also. Write Sonic is the one, like a ChatGPT. So that is right here, not in the list, but there are so many lists. Those who are familiar with the programming background, they've been using Copilot for their coding. So there's so many tools available, but obviously we cannot focus on every tool. So ChatGPT is one of the most powerful tool, and I have already given you why it is powerful. Can anybody write on the chat room, those who are on the Google Classroom, why ChatGPT is the one of the powerful one? The word, could you give one reason? I just want to check what you could remember from the last session. Okay, results in human language, it's fine, but there are so many other chatbots which works in the same manner, like Siri or other chatbots. They also work in the same manner. They give here responses, they take input just human like. Actually, the important thing is actually the amount of parameters this Chat GPT model is GPT-3 model is dealing with. I've already mentioned you there are large parameters. 175 billion is the limit, is the parameters which Chat GPT 3.5 is dealing with. So that's why it is so powerful. Okay, coming back to this AI tools. So obviously we won't go into all of the tools. So I will just focus on ChatGPT. Okay, so I have made this for using the ChatGPT, and it is a mind map. So whatever we are doing is we always come up with some mind mapping. And if you look at this mind map, so there are four main branches, like benefits of the ChatGPT for teachers, its application, its best practices, and its potential challenges. And in each branch, let's say when we go to the benefits, so there's so many benefits to the teachers or learners both, or it could be for anybody. I mean, it's not specific to teachers because every profession people are learner all the time. So you could, the benefit is you have a quick access to the information. You have good management practices. You can do, for example, as a teacher, your lesson plan can be prepared by that ChatGPT. And third is personalized instruction. So this is one of the key area, because if some students have some difficulty in a particular area, so that is related to the particular person, and you can use ChatGPT to strengthen or improve the weakened part of that instruction. Obviously, one thing we can do is ChatGPT is we can engage students right into the concepts and understanding. So we can it provides you a framework in which group working can be done. So there's so many benefits. I have just listed very few. So if you look at its applications, so there are applications like classroom use and its professional development, and for best practices is how to introduce incorporating ChatGPT to the students as well as in the classrooms. And obviously, being a teacher, you have to assess their learning and their learning outcomes. So there are ethical considerations. You must have to teach students how to use it ethically. So probably some of you, those who are from the computer science background, have a knowledge of what is called ethical hacking. So it is something like ethical chat GPT. I would say is you have to learn the way how to use it in an ethical manner, so it doesn't come into the category of cheating or fraud or plagiarism or any such thing. So you take use of this tool for your working, but obviously anything which is not allowed by the your university or institution, then obviously you are not supposed to do that. Obviously, this technology for teachers, it would be something new for them, and the challenges would be obviously the output coming from ChatGPT. You should not believe in that. So there is an issue of accuracy and reliability, and we have already seen the limitations associated with the technology. So we have to use it, but not to over reliance, not to misuse, and we need to have a tradition of a balancing. So just take the positive out of it and don't go into the negative. So this is what the potential challenge is as teachers. Okay, any question up to this point? I would like to go into the quiz.
Sir, I have a question, but I feel you might address that point later. Should I ask now? Maybe you will touch upon that topic later.
Well, the things which I have talked yet so far, I mean, you can ask that.
No, it's not related to what you have discussed so far. I'll ask later. Thank you. Thank you.
So because feel free to ask questions, because actually there is small number of students, those who are on the Google Meet are actually have a provision to ask questions. Once you will ask questions, that is going to benefit the people who are on YouTube. So please do ask questions so that those who are on YouTube may be benefited.
Doctor, actually, you said that rather the question is asked in the chat room also. You said it's unique. The ChatGPT is better than others, or it is different from others because it has the largest number of parameters. So what actually is a parameter when it comes to, in those terms you just described? What is a parameter in ChatGPT? Or in any of the tools that we talk about?
Probably, if you have some scientific background, probably you know there are models, and models are based on certain parametrics. So there's some. If you change some parameters, for example, or the simplest type of model, I could tell you the equation of motion. When you have a body which is falling under the action of the gravity, let's say S is the displacement and U is its initial velocity, T is the time, and A is the acceleration due to gravity. So once you know the velocity, you know the initial velocity, you know the time, you can find out the distance. It is something which is in your control. So, for example, here you have two parameters to change. So the very simple equation. So one can think of, but it is obviously is more complicated, and we don't need actually to go into that.
Thank you.
Okay, let's go to the poll first. I would like those who are on the poll to launch the poll for those who are on the Google Meet, and those who are on the YouTube also try to answer that. I would put on the screen. First, I go to the poll and launch the poll. At the same time, now I have put a quiz onto the screen. Probably you can see those quiz on the screen. So you have a simple quiz. You have to tell me, are the following two sentences have the same meaning or different meanings? My first sentence is how to introduce teachers ChatGPT, and the second statement is how to introduce ChatGPT to teachers. So your quiz options are whether they are same or different. So I give you some time to do that. Those who are on the YouTube, please go ahead and copy it.
So both questions are same.
Both questions are same. So this is something, because for those who are on the Google Meet, I would
no, sir, I want to say both questions are written same.
Exactly.
In your poll.
But the way you said them were different. So I voted in terms of how you read them out rather than how you written it here. So because the writing is the same in both questions.
Okay. Oh, I'm sorry. Actually, probably on the on the poll, actually, I have made a mistake. I copied twice the same thing. Okay, but on the screen it is different. So please go with the screen. Sorry, go with the screen.
So both are different.
Both are different.
Yes.
And how many says both are same? I mean, obviously, I'm not, actually the purpose is not to test your English, but actually to teach you actually the difference between actually the subject which I would like to address now is prompt engineering. Okay, so they are different. Can anybody tell me what is the difference?
So I can try. So one thing is when you say how to introduce teacher chat GPT, so there should be something, a concept lying outside there called teacher chat GPT. So there should be an engineer's chat GPT, there should be a doctor's chat GPT, and there is a teacher's chat GPT. But when you say how to introduce chat GPT to teachers, so there is chat GPT, it can be introduced to different groups of people, including teachers, doctors, or nurses. So in those terms.
Sir, I would like to answer that. So when you say how to introduce Chat GPT to teachers, so that means how to train teachers to use Chat GPT. That is simple. But the first part, how to introduce teachers to Chat GPT, is that when you expose Chat GPT to teachers in a manner that Chat GPT learns how teachers interact, what they want, what they require from Chat GPT. So that could be the meaning.
Okay, thank you very much for your response too. So, actually, yeah, yes, you're right. For example, if I just have put this first one, how to introduce teachers ChatGPT. So I got this response: how to introduce teachers. So actually, the focus is on teachers, and I'm introducing ChatGPT to teachers. So the response coming from the ChatGPT is, say, hello everyone, I would like to take a moment to introduce our esteemed panel of teachers and who will be sharing their expertise with us today, and so on, so on. So here ChatGPT is telling me, okay, the way by which I have to introduce ChatGPT to teachers. Now look at another response. How to introduce ChatGPT to teachers. So here the focus is on ChatGPT. So good morning, everyone. Excited to introduce you to ChatGPT, which is actually I wanted to do it, a powerful AI tool developed by OpenAI and blah blah. So actually they are two different. Okay, now look at, for example, if I ask the same question not to teacher, not to ChatGPT, but to a layman. So what I got, how to introduce ChatGPT to a layman. So instead of teachers, it is just a layman, and you see almost the same output coming. If you go back, the output is about ChatGPT is an AI tool, and to a layman also, ChatGPT is an AI tool. So whether it's a teacher or a layman, it is actually the same thing. The output coming the same. Okay, if I do analyze it a little bit more, so actually, I want to introduce you a term here called prompt engineering. So we have already seen that prompt is something, input we put onto the line or our question or our query that is actually a blinking point, what you call it, a prompt. So by the way, what prompt engineering is, actually it is the process of designing the input to get the specific output from the bot or AI model. So this designing process, or how to engineer that statement so that you get your desired output, what is required input, that is something called prompt engineering. So what it involves? It involves the right use of the language. Because if I say the previous example to a layman, to teachers, or just change the order of the object, so the language structure, right language is important. Its structure is important, and what I'm interested in, that is also important. So in order to get the generate the accurate responses, or the responses which are acceptable to you, you need to be careful about your language and structure of the language and the context in which you are providing information. Second is obviously the purpose of your prompt engineering is obviously to improve the response, and not in one go you are able to do that. You need to do an iterative process. So gradually you improve the prompt, and I will show you as an example, the same example of how to introduce ChatGPT or teachers to ChatGPT. Either case, we will analyze it on ChatGPT. So the response coming from the ChatGPT is actually very important, and this is what we are interested. But it depends upon the quality of the input and the process or the way by which we engineer the prompt is called prompt engineering. So obviously, we have already seen that you need to understand that this model has certain limitations and it works in certain manner and it has certain biases associated and it has the limitations of the text data over which the bot has been trained and so on. The technicalities we have discussed in the first session. So one should have a knowledge of all that because otherwise you won't be able to put things in the right context and you won't be able to generate the response which you are interested in. So that is an important thing. Secondly, obviously, this developing or writing prompt cannot come in a single go. So you need to practice and practice. And we have already seen that there is a property for this is adaptive learning. So what you need is your prompts, your outputs are improved and this model is being improved. And at the same time, what you need is you need to develop techniques in which you need to improve your prompt so that your specific task, what you want to do to complete, and this improvement in the prompt is something a continuous process. It is not just at one prompt and it is good for all the time. Not necessary. So all this is actually putting efforts writing down the correct thing to get your right answer. Somebody probably in the first session asked about, is it possible for us to generate the output of our own what we wanted? Yes, it is possible, but you need to provide the right input. And that is what actually the prompt engineering is. So, okay, so you got it, what actually the prompt engineering is? Okay, now let's look at this. So other yeah. Okay, I have a prompt. Analyze the grammatical difference between the following two sentences. And the two sentences are the same. The first one is how to introduce teachers ChatGPT or how to introduce ChatGPT to teachers. So both these questions I have put in the prompt. And what I have asked additionally in the prompt, given the comparison of the analysis in the tabular form. So now look at what actually, can anybody tell me what this prompt from which category? Analyze the grammatical difference. So it is actually coming into the which part? Analysis part, not a generation part.
Analysis, yeah.
Yes, yeah, analysis
part. It's not a generation. And but at the same time, I'm asking it to give the comparison of the analysis in the development. So that part is something a generation part. So if you look at the what answer you are expecting for this question, if I ask you this question, what you are going to do? Can anybody tell me, for example, if this I put you to a human being to answer this?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I can give it a try because I basically teach languages. So I've done some sentence analysis sort of stuff. So the thing would be the structure of the sentence. For example, if I say how to introduce ChatGPT to teachers and how to introduce ChatGPT teachers. So in the first sentence, teachers here would be more like an adjective. Right, it's so teachers.
Teachers is by is it adjective or a noun?
Yeah, basically, yes, you're right. I mean, normally it's a noun, but sometimes, for example, when I say student, a university student, so in a word like university student, university is an adjective rather than a noun because the use is that of an adjective.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it's definitely a noun. Yes. So in this context also. So teachers ChatGPT, teachers in the first sentence would be considered as an adjective.
Okay, so how I would go about this answering this question is I would just simply, when I saw this question, I first started picking up mistakes in the first and second sentence, and immediately I noticed that the word to is missing. It should have been how to introduce teachers to ChatGPT.
Okay, good.
direction.
Yeah, good, good, very good, very good, very good observation. Very good observation. Okay, actually, the now let's see what actually ChatGPT has done for me. Okay. So I told you that you can use ChatGPT to as a teacher, as a language teacher. So, for example, sentence one, the subject is how, verb is to introduce, and object is teachers. And obviously, the first sentence have no preposition there. In the second sentence, there is a preposition. Very good observation. And then there is an indirect object, ChatGPT and teachers. And obviously, it gives me the comparison or the analysis in the tabular form. What I have just asked, analyze the grammatical difference between the two. So it immediately comes into subject, verb, object. I mean, the agreement between subject, verb, because that was not the question here. It was just a question of whether it's an object is direct object or indirect object. So that is what ChatGPT has done. Okay, I do the same thing. I want to do the same thing, but in different manner. Let's say, okay, actually, I have to do it first this way because I'm sorry, I have done this. So I think there is a problem with first thing I have to ask this. Only thing to do this is analyze the grammatical difference between two. So the response coming from ChatGPT is not a table, obviously. So actually, I have just difference in the order of the two slides because the first thing I should ask this thing only. So it gives me that two sentences have different structures and meanings due to the placement of the direct object, teachers, and the indirect object, ChatGPT. So it gave me the response in the form of the text. So, and once I improve my prompt, the previous prompt is an improved version. This prompt is an improved version because here not just the analysis is given, but it is given in the tabular form. This prompt gives me just the analysis in the textual form. Okay, now let's see how I can put it differently. For example, this time, what I've done, analyze the grammatical difference that is subject, object, verb with meaning and focus between the following two sentences. Give the comparison that is in the tabular form. So everything I want here. So this time it gives me a comparison, and but it put it differently. So it gives me the what I am focusing on, whether teachers ChatGPT or ChatGPT I am focused, the meaning of the sentence and its grammatical structure. So it depends upon what type of output you want from ChatGPT. So you need to give a proper prompt, and the proper prompt you need to practice. Okay, what should I put in the prompt so that I could get my desired results? So this example is actually just a simple one because I started learning how to introduce you the ChatGPT, so I just came up with this example. But okay, so this time I have done is I've just I think compare the responses to the two sentences in the tabular form. So this time what I have done is actually just have asked because it is one thing I have actually missed in the first session. Actually, the ChatGPT is like a conversational bot. So what it does is if you have a one chat setting, we will show you once we will demonstrate, I will show you, then it remembers what has been taught earlier. So I have already taught earlier this discussion of comparing the grammatical analysis of these two sentences. This time what I want is compare the responses of the two sentences above in the tabular form. Above means whatever I have talked about. So it gave me the comparison in different forms. Okay, so this time I think I put it only word which I change is uh, present your analysis in tabular format for easy comparison. So I just have put something different, and this time I got this. So every time once my prompt changes, my output changes. So this is what you have to learn, and this is what it is called as prompt engineering. I think this one is giving comparison differently. Here the whole sentence is there. It's a grammatical difference, meaning, focus. Okay. So what we have seen from this example, I mean, another one is I have specified whether it's a direct object or indirect object. So it gives me a different output. Okay, so by the way, the thing that you actually have to learn is what is, if you go back to the first slide about prompt engineering, if you reread what actually the prompt engineering is all about, then it's much clearer. So prompt engineering is the process. Process means it is not just at one time process, it is a iterative process of designing prompts. So what input should be given, it is something, because at the beginning as a layman, what people do is they just put prompt and they're happy with the result, whatever result they've got it. But they are not actually focusing on to improve the output, and they need to design their prompt. Actually, this is becomes actually the second level in using the AI technology is actually you need to give a proper prompt designing, and this is what actually I want to focus today, because whatever field you are, whether you are teacher, learner, or whatever the field is, actually you need to learn the process. You need to learn the right way of doing it, and right way involves the choice of the right language, choice of the structure, and the content, which the choice of the words which you are using it, and their order of the words, because I have just swept teachers in ChatGPT, just put the change in the order. And obviously, the goal is to improve the quality of the AI generated response. So the output response should be in my control. And this is only possible if I just design the input, and I need to do an iterative process. So it doesn't come into the one go. So it is something required, including the fine tuning, pre trained models, and optimizing the prompts. So the question is, for example, there are 10 prompts for the same task, and we need to pick the best out of it. So this is something where the thinking process goes on. And this is where the teachers should emphasize students as well. And I will show you how they have to use it in the classrooms later. But I hope this is a small discussion based upon prompt engineering. Is it clear now?
Yes.
I mean, obviously, that would be the another level. But at the beginning, at least, you should know that the prompt, and there is something like prompt engineering, and it is not just a question, but because sometimes you get an output which is not appreciating, so you don't need to just stick to that output. You must not be happy. You must try to improve your input and your prompt, and eventually you will be in a position to get your desired output. Yeah, any question to this up to prompt engineering? So we move forward then. Do you have you got the feeling of what is prompt engineering? Not getting any response from
Yes,
anybody.
sir.
Okay, so it's clear. So I mean, from the first day, I just asked you to do the simple task, and we have focused on understanding the basics, what the tool is all about. Okay, now we are in a position to understand actually what the prompt engineering is and how we can use it effectively for completing our task. So this is something very important, and let me start uh, exploring this, trying to log in, because I don't know whether I'm able to log. Okay, I would just use one of the prompt for sake of completion. That okay, what result it I get it. I mean, for example, this one. Just copy this and put on the chat. Let's see what result I got. I think almost the same result which I got it earlier. But the good thing is about it doesn't give just information in the table, but it gives information which is it gives explanation as well. So that is what the nice part of the chat gpt is. It is just not providing the required information, but it is actually providing you the reason for putting up that information, and that is what actually requires more attention. Is it fine with that? Everybody fine with that?
Yeah, exactly.
So
Okay.
I think yes, the language teachers, I mean, they are lucky because they can do a lot. But everybody is lucky actually. Everybody can use it. Okay, so for example, what this ChatGPT is good for learners, whether the learner is a student or whether the learner is a teacher, because teacher has some other roles as well. Along with one step, they have to be one step ahead of the students. So, but nowadays the students are very active and they have been using it. If teachers won't be using it, then they would be in trouble very soon. Okay, so for example, one part of student support, it would be the school can act as a tutor. So if there is no tutor available, if you are living in Balochistan and you just have no subject specialist exist, or maybe in the cities also, if there is, or you cannot even afford it, then you can use this tool as a tutor. So for tutor, you ask questions, and the tutor is supposed to answer your questions. But obviously, you have to rely on the accuracy and the reliability of the answers. So if you have some basic knowledge, then and you can use tutor as your brainstorming partner. So if you stuck up with some ideas and your mind is stuck and you need something more creative, something different, so you can ask this tutor to do the brainstorm job for you. Obviously, it for a student, it could help you in writing skills and the language skills.
Sir, today I feel that ChatGPT is not good for a student as it make the student handicapped and everything easily provided by the ChatGPT. Each and
Yeah, but
everything.
actually, that is a perception. And it is just a perception because you actually haven't used it in a proper manner. And by just finishing today's session, your mind would be different, I'm sure.
So today I use this in my MCQs making, and I feel it very useful. Like I have the correct answer, and I want three more opposite answers.
Yeah, actually, I would give you some of the prompts in which you can create better quizzes as well. So, but actually, just let me finish first because today we have a long session, and I want everything to be covered as much as possible because in the last session I missed some of those things, and I want to cover those missing things as well.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, so once it acts as a tutor, it can help you, providing you as a mentor as well, providing you the study tips and strategies, how to make a plan for completing all this in short period of time or a given period of time. And the most important thing is its ability to do the personalized learning. So means some students have some difficulty in particular topic, not all the topics. So you need to be focused onto that particular student for their particular problem. So that is somehow you can use it, and once I will explain you how to use it in the classrooms, you have better idea about what I'm talking right now. Second, for student support is the student can use this ChatGPT to act as a feedback provider or assessor. So if you have given some assignment and the teacher has given you some assignment and you have done by your own without the help of the ChatGPT, but you want to check whether you have done it correctly or incorrectly, or you want to improve it, so you can get feedback. Just put your work to the ChatGPT and ask, okay, improve it or find grammatical errors, find or analyze or whatever you want. You can ask ChatGPT to do that. And if you're preparing for examinations and you want to prepare some mock questions for the particular topic, this is where students can use them. And obviously, whatever you're writing assignments, it can provide you the feedback and assessor. So it can act as not just as a tutor, but as an assessor as well. And at the same time, teachers also can use the same thing. Third thing which students have been facing is counseling issues. So you can use ChatGPT to provide support for your not just academic matters, for your non-academic matters, like some might have emotional issues, or some might have mental health issues, or I mean, nowadays so much work, so much stress is there, anxiety is there. So everybody is under that stress and anxiety. So one can use it as a mentor or counselor, and obviously the AI Open AI company has all that information what you have asked for, but nobody else in your family would be aware of what you are asking. So I mean, it can act as a mentor as well. And obviously it has a lot of abilities. It could act as a career planner as well. Okay, you just tell ChatGPT, I have done this, and I want to do this. What should I do in the next year? What should be my plan for this and this? If I want to do this, all these things you can get help to the ChatGPT. It is not just for the one purpose, because to complete your assignments and then ChatGPT is over. So this is what, being a teacher, you need to tell that ChatGPT is not just for assignment purpose. It is something for more.
Can I add something? Can I share my personal experience?
Yeah.
Yesterday, after your session, I gave ChatGPT a prompt that I am a student and please ask me questions to help me improve my English. Then it gave me a list of questions. I was like, no, give me questions one by one. I kind of fine-tuned the question again, and I said that when I answer, then give me a follow-up question. And like after one question, give me one. After my answer, give me another question, and keep talking to me. So and asking questions which can help me improve my English. And it started talking to me one by one. So question and answer.
This is the way the conversation takes place, na? But you have to tell ChatGPT, I am in a conversation mode. I am not in a mode for giving me information. So because ChatGPT is a machine, na? It doesn't know whether you are in a mode of conversation. So you have to first make sure that you tell and this is what prompt engineering is all about. So if you give the right prompts, you're going to get the right things. If you want conversation, then you have to put, okay, you can put so many other things, so the contextual knowledge you need to provide. Last time we have talked about the clarity should be in your prompt, and what the goal of your prompt should be very clear. So this is something very, very important, and it doesn't come in one go. Keep in mind, if you're sitting at one time and you got some not a good output, and then you say, oh, it's a useless tool. So don't do like that. So you need to have perseverance, and you need to stick to that.
I just want to say something here, Dr. Ashmi. The thing is, you're absolutely right. It has so many invaluable, opportunities for learning. But to the people, in my understanding, who take good responsibility of their own learning, for self-learners, it has very huge opportunities that it provides. But the thing is there a way to detect? Let's say there is someone who takes it as an excuse. Let's say you sign an assignment to the students and they come to you with an answer generated by the ChatGPT. Is there any way to detect it? Because if you take it to the plagiarism test, most probably it won't detect. it will most probably be considered as an authentic text. But
Yeah.
is there a way to detect these things within
I think
ChatGPT?
if I believe, because myself is a teacher, if you are a teacher and you have taught for 45 hours or 60 hours to somebody, you know their mental level, you know their choice of words, you know their environment, you know what text they can produce. So if it is from ChatGPT, I mean, it is something immediately visible. Being a teacher, if you are really a teacher, then it's very simple to know. Okay, the next thing is actually the issue is teacher must not give simple questions. Actually, that is what actually required, and that is what we need to do. We're just not accepting it. We need to twist the questions so that even they are complex questions in the manner where there are dependence on several factors. So I would show you today in this we will discuss quite a lot, and I think some of the part would be addressed during the discussion today. But obviously it's debatable, and we don't have actually time to do that, so I'm moving forward. Sorry for that, but
That's right. Yeah.
some part would be there.
Sure.
Okay, the next part actually I want to cover so many things, so please bear this. ChatGPT for student support, how can you use it for self-directed learning? So provide resources for independent learning. I mean, they can use this tool, and without the help of a teacher, without the help of lectures, without the help of a mentor, I mean, independent learning. And by the way, even to the school children, because of this YouTube and so many other media elements, they are learning indirectly quite a lot, and their learning is not structured, it is highly unstructured. So but what one can do is you have a freedom to learn, and you have the resources available, and this is something. So the onus of the learning should go to the students. What teacher's job should be as a facilitator. So you should not actually make sure that whether they have learned it or not. Okay, you have to assess it whether they have learned or the outcomes have been achieved or not. But actually, your role should be as a facilitator. So you should provide them the resources so that they can learn. And once they will learn by themselves, then their learning would be a stronger understanding, and they would be in a good position. What, as a teacher, one can do is to guide them, ask them to discover by them, explore themselves, and do the so-called inquiry-based learning. So their learning should not be just knowing the facts. I mean, explaining something, define something. You should not ask such things. You should need to go into some higher order thinking and need to inquire and need to put some more factors which are actually affecting the output. So this is what we will see it in some of the examples as well. And what we can use is because it acts as an assessor or a feedback. So by actually utilizing so many other tools, they are available. I've just talked about ChatGPT, which is one of the tools. What one can do is you can track the progress. There are so many learning management system, Google Classroom and Canvas and blah blah. There are so many which can actually track the progress, and one can integrate this ChatGPT into those learning management systems so that you can track the progress of the students, and you make sure whether the students have achieved the goals or not. And then you need to ask not just the solutions, but need to be focused on providing the feedback, personal feedback. For example, ChatGPT has pointed out something, but you just ask one another line. What is your personal opinion? Whether you think to check, where you need to develop the critical thinking, whether you can argue with the ChatGPT that I'm not convinced with your answer, and I have some different opinion. So one's need to be focused on asking such questions in which they are actually bound to think or take help from others, even if they have taken help, it is fine. And by the way, actually the problem goes with our assessment system. Whatever we study during the course of our studies, we don't remember anything. But in the practical life, what is important is solving the problem. So the real life problem solving is always involving different parameters. And by the end today, you will have a better understanding once I will show you some of those prompts. And what we need is teachers to encourage their thinking process on their learning experience. Whatever they have learned, ask them to think about their opinions, their understanding, their reflections. So this is something we need to encourage as teachers. Okay, how to use it? Obviously, there are two ways, broad ways by which this bot is like a very wise uh, person, and but obviously you need to understand its limitation as well. So your prompts, your questions should be in such a manner that you get your desired outputs. So you can use as a virtual teaching assistant, ask questions directly in the class. You can, if there are certain students have certain problems, personalized student learning, you can ask for that as well. You can ask students to work in the group and come up with an argument, and it could be a collaborative learning, or you could ask for support in the writing, because the stuff created by the student or the group of student is there, and what you need is you need to assess or get a feedback from ChatGPT, and then it identifies some weak areas. So then ask for the reason. What are the weak areas? Not just the reasons, but weak areas, but the way by which you can overcome those weaknesses. This is something where one can use it effectively. Obviously, I have given you that, okay, it's possible to do the translations, but actually it is not meant for that. But OpenAI people claim that it is good at translation. But I'm not sure, because unless we have the knowledge of the different languages. Okay, apart from assistants, you can use this as a assessment part, feedback part, and evaluation part. So you can develop assessment material, you can develop study material, you can develop different activities, case studies, and so on. And you can ask ChatGPT to check, or the best thing is the peer assessment. You can ask a group pair of people to check, or some one student to check others' work, and others would check. Yeah. Okay, and then as an assessor, as a feedback provider, as an evaluator, or as a judge, you can use this ChatGPT. Okay, there are different ways of using ChatGPT into the classrooms, and this is what actually today's lecture is all about, because we're focusing the classrooms. So use it as a more complex source of information than Google. I mean, this is one of the things. Second is used to provide students access to lots of good examples. So you can remix the student work. You can ask for definitions, but not in a mediocre manner, but definitions at different levels or different varieties. You can ask to get the feedback of the student work. You can ask it for to do some teacher tasks for you. You can add it to think, pair, share, thinking routine, because I would explain it all this if somebody is new to this think, pair, share strategy. How to grade the bot, and how to debate the bot, how to ask the bot for the advice, and how to summarize. We have already seen it earlier, and how to get an insight into a big picture or a complex problem or something which is difficult at first to understand. So how to use ChatGPT to get insight into it. And then you can ask ChatGPT to make your lesson plans, You can anticipate the response you would expect from AI. This is actually very important because once you have put a prompt, then try to first figure out what should I get, what should I supposed to get. So this is something, if you would anticipate this, then you would be able to improve your prompts. Because if it is not up to your anticipation, then you need to do something else. So this is where a lot of learning takes place. One can use it for not for one single response, because it has an ability to generate multiple responses, and then you need to optimize your output and or improve your input in either way. I've already mentioned that personalized learning experience can be created on that. It could provide as a coach, as a mentor, as a tutor. It could help you in making group discussions, classroom, collaborative work, teamwork. All this you can take use of that. Provide information and answer questions which apparently not available to you. And obviously, if somebody in person is not there, and you can use bot to do their job, act as somebody, act as a tutor, act as a health professional, act as a lawyer, act as blah blah, whatever you want. Okay, so these are the 20 ways which I would go one by one in detail. The first one is use it as more complex source of information than the Google. So I have put a prompt, discuss the advantages and disadvantages of different types of renewable energy sources, such as solar, wind, hydroelectric, and geothermal, in terms of their efficiency, cost effectiveness, scalability, and environmental impact. Then recommend an optimal combination of these sources for suitable energy grid. Okay, let me try this prompt. Let's see what I get. Just copy the prompt. Okay, let's see what I get in the output.
Sir, how we validate these results provided by the ChatGPT?
Yeah, actually, this is what teacher's job is, because if you're a teacher for a particular subject, you have a domain specific knowledge. Then obviously you don't actually depend on that. You actually need to take guide from that. So, for example, my question was little more complicated. Na? Actually, I have defined the different renewable energy sources: wind, solar, hydroelectric, and geothermal. So, actually, these four renewable sources, and I have asked to express in terms of efficiency, cost, scalability, and impact on the environment. Then recommend an optimal combination of sources. That is the difficult part. So, which technology to be utilized for a sustainable energy grid? And I don't think optimal combination. Yeah. So, last part was also provided. Na? So, actually, whatever the output comes, you don't just not to believe that, because if you are a subject expert in renewable energy, then it is something I already know. That would be an immediate answer. Because why this would be the answer? Because it could be a fascinating answer for you if you don't have a domain specific knowledge. But for somebody who is good at renewable energy, would be interested in something else. So for them, this answer is a pity thing. So for others, it could be very useful. So, but just look at how actually it has answered. And for example, if I give the same question to students, what they are going to do? Are they going to put exactly in the same manner? And if you're a subject specialist, you immediately realize, okay, it is not like that. So that is what actually it is important. The responsibility goes to the teachers that if they are teaching a particular subject, they must have a command over it, and they must know what are the things which are significant and what are the things which are something well-known facts. Because okay, now look at how actually this output has been generated. Just look at. Can anybody tell me the basic elements we have defined earlier? I have asked you right in the beginning of the session today. What actually it has done? It has done the classification job, transformation job, generation job. What job this ChatGPT has done in this particular prompt?
I think we talked about analysis and generation.
Actually, when I say discuss the advantages and disadvantages, so it is actually analyzing it, and classifying, not classifications. So classification is also there, which is built in, and then transformation. It is actually giving me which is something more suitable. So all the actually this output is generated based on certain procedures, and the certain procedures are exactly the same what I have told you in the first session. Yeah, but for a student work, I mean, how to write this, even for a teachers, it won't be easy. But if you are a teacher who has a subject knowledge, you would say it's so simple, and I know what to do, what to tell. Okay, for example, I don't understand and I cannot read everything. I say summarize the response above in a single slide, single PowerPoint slide in bullet points. I'm just asking this. Here's a slide. Okay, summarize the response the whole response. I got it in a summarized manner by this way. So this is where, as whatever the output is, it has been summarized. So the validity for any data is actually made by the experts, those who are expert in that area. You cannot do that because the good thing is this tool has used to develop this using certain data over which it has been trained, and if the data was good, the output should be good or acceptable. So the validation is only made by the subject expert. So not everybody can say, oh, it's a good output. For you, it could be a good output. For me, it could be a good output. For somebody who is a subject specialist, it is just a mediocre output. So is it clear? Okay, so what coming back, I hope actually because this is something tricky, no? Clear? Is that clear? So the first point would be use it as a more complex source of information than Google. For example, if I have been asked to search on Google, let's try it on Google. I just go onto the google.com and do the same thing on the Google without an inverted commas. Yeah. Oh, I'm sorry, I got by voice, not by voice, but by text.
Sir, I have one question.
Yeah. So let's see, for example, if I go to the Google, I got some different websites now. And then people asked similar questions on such a thing, the advantages and disadvantages. And so compared with the Google results, which is actually searched different, and you will find some of the things which are common, could be common because the ChatGPT also has been trained on the same data. So, but the output here is far better than Google output. So one can say, okay, another prompt is about describe the differences between active and passive suspension system in automobiles, including the design principles, advantages and disadvantages of each system, and how they affect vehicle handling and ride comfort. So even if I asked Google to do this, I don't think I would be able to get the answers. Was tried on Google. So it opens certain website which compare active suspension system with passive suspension system. So I have some description and all that. I will keep this website open because I want to do some other job. Okay, so but for ChatGPT, this task is much simpler and much more effective. I just put the same prompt here. Because whatever output coming for this particular prompt, obviously there's somebody who has a knowledge of automobiles and automotive engineering would be able to understand. Because here I want in terms of designing principles, advantages and disadvantages of each system. And the last part is more interesting, how actually it impacts on the comfort of the ride. Okay, so you can ask for some other prompts like explain the concept of infinity in mathematics, including different types of infinity such as countable and uncountable, and how infinity is used in different areas of mathematics such as calculus, set theory, and topology. So such type of prompts are not so apparently available on the Google. So how the ChatGPT can be used to get the complex source of information. So it is much superior. And the last prompt is from English language. Explain the difference between active and passive voice in English grammar, including examples of how to identify and use each voice effectively, as well as the situation in which passive voice may be preferred over active voice. Okay. I would like to ask questions for this all 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 prompts. How I generated those prompts?
Meaning,
What do you think about?
so I mean, can you clarify the question? How you generated the questions? You mean?
For example,
Brainstorm?
I have one of the issue how to use ChatGPT in the classroom is use it as a more complex source of information than Google. and then I showed you some of those prompts, na?
Mhm.
And my question is, what do you think? How actually I have written these prompts? Is it by my own?
Oh,
So
No.
these questions are not asking recall of information. They will force students to analyze their analytical skills.
Provide, use it, provide information. But the information is not something straightforward. It is something require analysis, require transformations, require classifications, and require summarization. And all these things are actually involved. They are actually embedded in this in these prompts. Obviously, none of the prompt is written by me, all written by ChatGPT. But obviously, the question is how I came up with such prompts. This is something you have to learn, and this is what I have learned. Got it? Okay. The next thing which we have used it to provide students access to lots of good examples. So this is where you can use ChatGPT. For example, the first prompt is provide a curated list of innovative scientific and engineering breakthroughs in the last decade, highlighting the key technologies and methodologies used in each breakthrough, as well as their potential impact on various industries and society as a whole. So this question is not so easy to answer. I mean, let me use this prompt. Copy it. By the way, whole presentation, the first day presentation as well as the second day presentation, I use ChatGPT to create. I just have put plus and minus something. The rest is done by ChatGPT. So here the keyword is curated list of innovative, scientific and engineering breakthrough in the last decades. So I mean it's time dependent. Blockchain technology is recent. Self-driving cars are recent. 3D printing is a recent. Artificial organs are recent. Okay, so I mean, for example, give three more because
I can't hear anything. Is this? Are you all facing the same problem?
yeah.
no, actually, we can hear.
I'm also facing the problem.
Are you not able to hear me?
With me, it's okay.
Okay, so USC, I don't know about this CRISPR genome editing, yeah? But this time also repeated, no, but some other, the same thing, but 12A, and here it is CS9, but it is CS12. Augmented reality, quantum computing. So three, and look at the numbering. It is stopped at 7 first, and then continued with 8, 9, and 10. So this is an indication that now I am going into the chat mode because it was my first initial prompt, and afterwards I got 7 responses, and then I asked for 3 more, and the ChatGPT followed the order from 7, 8. One more, if I say, follows the order.
I see.
This is actually the I want to tell you that right now I don't know there's some problem occurring with the earlier prompts, but I think it's a local problem. And but I think I'm getting it. No? So this is where you can see. Okay, the next prompt is to get some good examples is provide a comprehensive list of real world examples in science and engineering, including the specific fields and subfields in which example is relevant and explain the significance and potential applications. For an example of effective study habits for college students, including time management, techniques, note-taking strategies, and methods for effective collaboration and communication with peers and professors.
Doctor, I was just wondering, I mean, can you just question the answers that you're getting? I mean, are they always reliable? I mean, wait, with the sources that ChatGPT is using, do you think it is using the most accurate accepted sources?
Yeah, actually, we really believe. I mean, this answer, this can only be answered by a subject specialist.
See.
I mean, no single one has the knowledge of all these different subjects. Now, I don't have. I can't tell.
So you can't always rely on them. Let's say if I want it to give me a summary of a book.
That's true. Because, for
me a
example,
summary.
yeah, I'm a subject specialist in thermodynamics, heat transfer. I can tell whether this is acceptable or not. But if I don't have a knowledge, I can't say. But actually, the point is, you can use this tool in a classroom to provide students some very good examples.
Exactly.
This is actually the way I want to focus on.
So, I mean, in your own example, in your own experience, because you have definitely been using it. So, in your own field, in your own field of specialization, have you ever tried to get information about something that you are an expert in?
Yeah, actually, by the way, this technology is so new. I just came across in the month of January. Mm-hmm. So I'm just learning it. January, February, I just learned it. I'm still learning. So I didn't got an opportunity because we have a semester system which is 6 months long, and we have the notes already available from the earlier. But obviously, very recently, last week, our semester started. So I have promised students to use it in the class. By the way, I'm still learning because it's such a new tool. Because I haven't used it. I have no experience in past knowledge.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, but actually, I would show you. Actually, there is a website. Probably I have not mentioned it, but somewhere, yeah, here. I got all these slides or this information. There is a website. Get an overview of ChatGPT in the classroom at dishthattextbook.com.ai. So I have just taken this stuff from that place, and they have taken this stuff from from ChatGPT.
Yeah, so there is a chance that it might be referenced in the future as an
yeah. Because it is something my duty to tell you from where this has come from. Mm-hmm. Because it would be ethical that I haven't told you that this is all generated by me. I told, okay, I use this source, I use ChatGPT to create this. See. That is what we have to tell. But we have to use it for their betterment, for their enhancement of the learning. I mean, let me finish today. Probably you would have a better understanding. No?
Sure. Thank you.
Okay, so we have used one, we have used two. Okay, the third was use it to remix student work. That's also interesting. So what actually there is using a given piece of student writing as a starting point. For example, somebody has given you an assignment output or some work there, and what you have done is you have just taken that material, and now you need to, for example, if somebody is has some written certain essay or something, whatever, or maybe some article, whatever it is. So what you need is just use that material, or for example, in this prompt says generate a list of alternative writing style, such as formal, conversational, or persuasive. So if you're a language teacher, then okay, the essay is probably have a different tone, and you want it to make it more formal. then another guy produced a formal essay, or you want it to be more persuasive, or you want to emphasize on certain points, and so on, so on. So, and provide examples of how the original piece could be revised to fit each style. I mean, this sort of thing is actually allowing you to mix different works and see how actually they are differing and what the styles are. So, indirectly, students are going to learn a lot if you use this tool for mixing up. So, because ChatGPT is just your assistant or a servant, whatever you ask, I mean, it can mix and it can make it. And then you ask to analyze it. Okay, why does this it is formal? Why it is informal? For example, if you just put a formal statement and then say, okay, just make it informal, and then ask ChatGPT to give me reasons what actually ChatGPT has done to make it informal or formal. How? So all these things actually can be practiced right in the class. The next prompt is take a student created essay about a historical event and remix it into a news article. So historical event, which is history, and news article, which is recent. You are mixing them together. Using journalistic techniques such as sketchy headlines, quotations from sources, and factual reporting. Discuss how this exercise helps students develop critical thinking and communication skills as well as creativity in their approach to writing and storytelling. So just see how we have mixed different things to get something else. So I don't know what would come out from this. I don't know because I haven't tried any of these prompts. I have generated these prompts from ChatGPT, but I have not tried any of them. Okay, let's try this one. Seems quite complicated. Let's see. Because it's I mean, one of the essay it has chosen is the historical essay, the Boston Tea Party, a revolutionary act of defiance. So it has mixed the journalist work with, it is artificially created, no? And what it is created, it depends upon the prompt I have given. And by the way, the prompt is also artificially created. Okay, another prompt is, I've just asked ChatGPT to make prompts so that it can demonstrate the use of the remixing the student work. That is what I have done. Okay, using a piece of student writing is this, okay, we have done this, such as turning a scientific essay into fairy tale. Oh, it is also interesting in adapting a historical account into a modern day news article and discuss potential benefits of this creative approach to learning and expression. Okay, language teachers can use it a lot. Okay, the fourth thing is ask it for a definition on a variety of levels. So, for example, here ask for define the term consciousness from various perspectives, including philosophical perspectives, psychological, neurological, and explore the different level of consciousness, such as waking consciousness, altered state of consciousness, and unconscious mind, while providing examples of how these concepts have been studied and applied in various fields of research and practice. So this is where you can use ChatGPT to define at different levels. Another prompt, explain the principles of mechanical vibration and its application in mechanical engineering, including the types of vibration, the effects of vibration on machinery and structure, and the techniques used to control and mitigate the vibration in engineering design. Okay, I just want this one to be.
Sorry, Doctor. I've just just posted a message in the chat room with a prompt. Can you try that? What we get out of it, we'll see.
Yeah, sure. Students' perception of using ChatGPT in the class at NED University. Yeah. Do you really think what I'm going to get the answer first? I don't know whether ChatGPT. Okay, let me try. Let's see. Because actually, the one good thing which I want you people to practice before asking ChatGPT, first ask yourself what should be the possible output.
Yeah, I mean, one thing is because it's perception of students, so it depends on what the students talk about. So the reason I gave that thing is it shouldn't be something copied from a source, right? It's either someone's research, if someone has actually conducted one. So there's a chance that it might not find an answer.
Yeah, obviously, because I don't have the answer for this. I can't even think out of its answer. Exactly. For example, practically speaking, this machine is trained on the data provided by 2021. And so I don't know any students have used ChatGPT in 2021. Mm-hmm. And somebody has published a report. How was the impact of students' perception using the ChatGPT? And nobody has published any report. Let's try it out, because this is what expected, na? And let's see what ChatGPT does.
Yeah.
Sir, yesterday I searched for I asked that ChatGPT, okay, please give me the top ranking 10 research publication journals for food, and ChatGPT as per my best knowledge, according to 2022, these are the 10 most high rated journals.
Yeah, I mean, I would go to your question afterwards. First, sort out this first question. I mean, this ChatGPT has created something to my surprise. The use of ChatGPT in the classroom at NED has received mixed reactions from students. Some students find it helpful and innovative, while others have reservations about its usefulness. One of the major advantages of using ChatGPT in the classroom is that it allows students to ask questions. Blah, blah, blah. Okay, I just trick.
So,
yeah, I just say students' perception of using ChatGPT in the classroom at PNEC, or I just give NUST Pakistan. Let's check out.
It's creating sort of a proposal, a research proposal, or maybe a research paper. Yeah.
Well, now you need to think about whether accepting it or not. No? So please do not accept whatever this bot is giving you.
Exactly.
Please don't believe in that. It has been artificially created. And there's so many things it has been created artificially has in no sense at all. So, okay, for example, I just picked some unknown university, Mehran University. Mehran Engineering University, or maybe something in Bahawalpur.
You know, one thing I'm actually getting from all the three examples that you just actually searched in here is that it actually gives you an idea of what this question should include. And that is, you know, one of the things that you just mentioned previously, that you can give more examples of something to the students to work on. let's say if this is a real question you are giving to your students, so one thing that can be given to them as an example is like, this is what it is. But we are not looking for these made up answers. Rather, we are looking for real answers. So just go around the university, ask people, and write a research paper, or let's say a research proposal. So it's giving the structure of all the three is really useful.
Yeah, actually, the point is, let's say this is an absurd answer here. No? For example, I've asked about students' perception of using ChatGPT. It gives you an introduction. ChatGPT is a language model, large language model. Works like that. I haven't asked for that.
Yeah.
Okay, and then it says, okay, a survey was conducted among 100 graduate students. Okay, first it finishes, then I would ask another question to this bot. Then you will know. It's all fake. Could you provide the source of above survey?
Oh, yeah. That's very tricky.
Finish first. Okay. I mean, it is quoting you some survey, but it does not have information about the survey.
Exactly.
It's all false, no?
Yes.
So it is all false data generated. I can immediately tell. No? This is actually goes with the subject, the person who having a knowledge of the subject. Mm-hmm. I don't know, even at Mehran or at NED, how many people do exactly know what ChatGPT is.
Yeah.
So there are very few. Maybe 5%, 10% people, but it is providing the whole survey and its results. No? It's all fake. So this is where we should use the technology. No? I can, for example, if there is a survey, and if there is, for example, if there is an information and it has a resource, then it provides the resource. No? For example, I have this website. Okay, I will keep it. Okay, later I will do this. Okay, let's go back to the topic because we have to finish the topics. Huh? Okay. So the fourth point is you can ask to give variety of levels. Now, this is where you can use it effectively. Yeah, we are on fourth. We have finished. Yeah, fifth is ask it for a feedback for student work. So using a given piece of student writing as a starting point, generate a list of alternative write. I think this is we have done, probably. This is we have done. Ask it to do some teacher tasks for you. I mean, okay, let's try this. This one looks interesting.
It's interesting, yeah.
Because I'm teaching something technical, very technical, thermodynamic equilibrium. Can you come up with a joke which helped to teach the topic in the class?
Well,
it's called healing, regenerate. Oh, is something reasonable? So the equilibrium is about balance, regenerate. Okay, I mean, give some easy topic, because probably this topic, thermodynamic equilibrium, is not an easy topic. Could you suggest some easy topic?
Nutrition.
Huh?
Nutrition.
Nutritions, okay. And malnutrition?
yeah, that would be good, yeah.
Nutrition topic.
Yeah.
Malnutrition. Malnutrition in children?
Yes.
A little more specific. Oh, interesting. Because it considered malnutrition in children as an offensive crime.
So wait, I'll just give you a topic. So we're teaching English to Chinese students. Can you suggest a joke?
Yeah. I mean, but the second time it gave, first time it rejected, second time it gave. Okay. What you asked for? Teaching?
English to Chinese students.
Oh, it is horrible. Teaching Chinese.
You'll get better jokes. Definitely.
English. Chinese. By the way, our English is not good, but Chinese English is so horrible. Teaching English to Chinese.
Oh, okay. Here's some that comes from Chinese.
Yeah. Acha, create a concise one. I mean, it's like try to give something, create a concise one. Let's do that, right? There were too many T's.
Yeah.
T and T.
Yeah. So the letter T, I think that they have difficulty in pronouncing the letter T.
Okay, so I mean, to all the teachers, start your class with something, a joke, huh?
Yeah.
Related to your topic, actually, because you are actually emphasizing the topic, na? For example, this is the prompt I have made. Actually, जो आपको topic वाले, you will find it topic and then something. Na, this is what I created, not ChatGPT.
I see.
Okay, so because this is my work, because I am teaching that subject, so how can the topic be taught in a creative and engaging manner? Just change your topic, na? Because I will provide you all these prompts and you can just change your topic. I have designed in a manner so that they could be worked out for others as well. Because what you want is your to be creative and engaging, and it captures the student interest and promotes a deeper understanding of the concept. That is actually what, as a teacher, we are all looking for. Thermodynamic equilibrium is quite a boring topic. Start with demonstration to make it engaging. So you can give some real life examples. So that's a good advice. And you should not just believe in I mean, you can change the prompt and see what output it comes. And this is what actually you need to do. Just not be sticking to one single response and happy with that. So because of the time, I'm not doing it, but we can do it in different manners. Okay, so it's just stop generating because, yeah, I have to go by 6, हमें 20 तक जाना है. Okay, for example, can you come up with an analogy? Okay, this is very good. With an analogy, you teach the concept of the topic to beginners. So I have put in the square brackets, this one, thermodynamic equilibrium, you can put your own topic. And if it is for beginners, for intermediate, for advanced, you can put the level as well and suggest how this analogy can be effectively used to enhance the student's understanding of the topic. Or you can ask to design an entire lesson, create a 1-hour lesson plan for the water cycle, develop a slideshow presentation, and blah, blah. So this is what you can ask to do some task for the teacher. So this is where the teachers can. Okay. Another thing is actually called is added to think, pair, share thinking routine. Those who are actually learn it at I don't know where, but there is a approach, collaborative educational practice where you ask students to think and then compare the responses with another student, with the pairing, and then the what conclusion they made, they need to share with the whole class. So this is called think, pair, share strategy. So thinking could be in terms of either reading or writing. Then you discuss this with your pair and then share with the whole class. So how many of you are familiar with this think, pair, share strategy?
Yeah, I am.
Yeah. Okay. So think, write, pair, share. You can write, or you can add ChatGPT in it. Think, pair, and go to ChatGPT and see what ChatGPT is giving you answers, and then share. Or you can use the think, pair, ChatGPT, then go again to the pair, and then finalize and then share. So there are different possibilities adding it to think, pair, share thinking routines. So, for example, there is an example here. Students individually think on a question related to a particular engineering concept, such as what are the different types of renewable energy sources and how do they work. So students pair up and discuss their individual responses with one another, sharing their thoughts and perspective in pairs. Then go to the ChatGPT. Students use ChatGPT to search for additional information, examples of perspective related to the question. For example, you could ask ChatGPT to define specific terms related to renewable energy, provide examples, and whatever insight you want, you can get it from ChatGPT. And then you have a good knowledge. And keep in mind, you're thinking by your own independently, and then you are pairing it. So you get some others' opinion as well. And then you go for a bot to get an opinion. And then you're in a position to share it to the class. So the things which come out of the sea to the class would be something more formidable and much more useful. So this is one can you utilize this think, pair, share. You can add ChatGPT in it. Okay. Next is grade the bot. So ask students to read essay or article that the bot created on your prompt, but don't disclose your prompt to students. For example, you have created an essay using a prompt, and what you need is ask the students to read that essay, because students don't know whether it is created by prompt ChatGPT or not. The students have no idea. So they just put certain prompt, which probably some of them I have already generated for you, and make it as an essay form, let's say, and ask a student to read that essay. Then what you need is give the student the rubric you will use to grade them, and ask them to grade the response from the bot. So this is how the students can actually get an insight into the understanding of the topic which you are discussing through an article, and the students would compare. They would be the somewhat teach. They would become a teacher to assess whether the bot is good or not good. So something this is where you can use this strategy in the classroom. Assess and provide feedback on a student's essay on the topic of a climate change, evaluating the coherence. So your rubric would be required coherence, clarity, and accuracy. This would be the criteria of your rubrics, of their arguments and analysis, as well as providing specific suggestions for improvement and examples of effective writing strategy. Yeah, grade a student's design project for an electric motor, specifically evaluating their understanding of the underlying principles of electric motor and their ability to design and implement a functional motor using appropriate components and materials, and their ability to analyze and troubleshoot the motor's performance based on the relevant parameters such as speed, torque, and power consumption. So you can use these prompts to grade the bot. Okay, so this is strategy number 8. Okay, I move a little faster to strategy number In the similar manner, you can debate the bot. For example, if I'm not happy with the answers from the bot, I can ask to do it for me in other ways. So this is some sort of a debate, and this also helps students' interest in the topic. So one can use the technology to do that. And I have given you some of those. For example, debate the concept of continuity in mathematics, exploring its meaning and significance in calculus and real analysis, discussing various techniques for testing continuity, such as epsilon delta definition, basic fundamental first principle definition, and then analyze the real world applications for continuous functions in different fields of science and engineering. Okay, you can ask the bot for advice. So one can ask the bot to give some advice, and in this way, the bot would become the virtual counselor. For example, this asks ChatGPT for advice on effective stress management techniques for students preparing for exams, including strategies for reducing anxiety, improving focus and concentration, and maintaining overall. I think this is quite a nice. Try it out. And because those teachers who are actually acting as a counselor, them also it would be very interesting. Exercise, mindfulness and relaxation techniques, sleep and nutrition, social support. I mean, quite a reasonable, because I don't know, we are not the mental health expert. I can't comment on that, but for laymen, it seems quite good. Okay, for example, here, diagnose engine faults. Let's say I tried out because actually I am from automotive, so interested in this thing. Ask ChatGPT for advice on how to effectively diagnose engine faults using a handheld multimeter. It's quite domain specific, but if you see, its responses are quite generic in general, not specific. Because this is one of the constraint of ChatGPT is domain specific knowledge, lacking domain specific knowledge. Because it has been trained on some data and it is subject to that data. But if you have a particular issue, then probably it can give you the diagnosis of that particular issue as well. Okay, so this is another way of using the ChatGPT for advice. Okay, use it to summarize text. This is what we have done it earlier. Okay, but this time I would go to summarize this one, because this is probably a new, and I will use some other website because I've opened certain website. For example, this active suspension system website. I just copy the prompt, copy the web link, and instead of this Lahore resolution, I put this thing. Summarize on the article on the web link below. This is where ChatGPT is very good. Okay. This is active suspension system is explained in that website, and probably it is not that much data, but you can verify it, what actually terms are, what vehicles have active suspension, disadvantages. So let's see the output. Okay. Give the response in bullet points in a concise manner.
Sir, if we summary of our own work in
Yes,
Word,
yes. Yes,
But
yes.
please can you know this?
Yeah,
How to do
because the
this?
first prompt was like that, same. Summarize the main points and key takeaways of the following article in a concise and effective manner. Paste the article, and then it gives you.
No matter how long.
Yeah, actually, that's the tricky question. Actually, it matters. So right now, probably you can have it for around 1,500 words something. So there is a limitation. There is a limitation. But for website, there is no limitation. For example, if I go to some other website like comparative when it's different model host controllers, or maybe I mean it's a paper, it's a complete paper. No? For example, I just take it out. I just copy this part and put it here on the prompt. And I just copy my prompt, summarize the main points. Oh,
The
sorry,
prompt.
it's generating. Copy again. So it was the prompt that, okay, the long prompt. So summarize the main points and key take of the following article in a concise and informative manner. So, I mean, for that particular article, it has made the summary. Put in like bullet points. I think for this purpose, it is quite good.
I see. Yeah. But let's say I have my thesis or research paper, whatever, in a Google Doc, or let's say in the Google Drive. So I just give a link to that with this thing that give me feedback on this.
Truly, you can do that. For example, I have just given the link. For example, I have asked this to link in the bullet points, so it directly gives me in the bullet points. Or, for example, if I asked it to the this way, it can do this way also. For example, whatever your topic of interest, explain topics very concisely in nutrition. Nutrition is the study of how food affects the body. Probably the one who is actually the subject expert could tell, is it okay for you?
So this is the basic for our subject.
This is basic. So if you want something advanced, how to do that? For example,
Based on the pediatric need.
Logical needs for a child. Let's say, resubmit. It is now focusing to the children, no?
Yes, sir.
Is more better. So once I change the prompt, I can control the output. Now, this is up to you. It is only the expert can do that. So just having the output, and if students do not have the subject knowledge, it would be useless. And it is what the teachers are. Actually, it actually gives an opportunity for teachers to be good at their domains. If they are not good at themselves, they are not good at, then they can be cheated. But if they are good at, they can immediately understand what you have done, what the students have done. Okay.
Yes, sir.
So this is where actually we need to emphasize. So, okay, the last, not last, point number 12 is about using it for insight into big, difficult to solve problems. That is actually what we are interested in. If you or your students come up with a problem bigger than you know how to solve, ask ChatGPT to solve it, read the solution of the ChatGPT and gain some insight into the solution and process of solving it. Even if you can solve it, it will tell you the why solve it and how solve it. For example, the biggest problem is world hunger. So how do you solve world hunger? This could be a prompt. Or explore the complex issue of income inequality in modern societies, including the historical and contemporary factors that contribute to economic inequality, the impact of income inequality on individuals and society as a whole, potential solutions and a policy recommendation for addressing this pervasive and social problem. So these could be some complex questions. So what actually, in order to understand the economic aspect of, from economics point of view, the macroscopic, the macro and microeconomics point of view, you can actually put up some complicated question and ask ChatGPT and ask the students to read it and get the information which is relevant or get the information which is something useful for them. So, or make notes out of it, make points out of it. This is where it should be used. For example, provide insight into challenges and potential solutions for mitigating the impact of climate change on coastal infrastructure in cities, including the impact of sea level rise, storm surges, and changing weather patterns, as well as engineering strategies and technologies that can be implemented to address these challenges. So these are actually the complex things. So, what one can do is let's see its solution and debate on that solution. So that actually it would enhance the students' knowledge indirectly because they know the solution. And being an expert, you must know whether it is uh, right or wrong. I mean, it all depends on your area. I mean, rising sea level is a challenge. I know storm surges. I mean, development of new infrastructures. That's reasonable. Okay, so I mean, whatever the solution provided by the chat, you need to discuss. Yeah. This is where it should be utilized. Okay, the 12th, next 13th is ask GTP to write your lesson plans. This is where it is very good.
Sir, I want to add in complex writing.
Yeah. I would give you the soft copy of all this now. So because I've told you, for example, this is where we are. Yeah. No, this one is about this one. No. We were on which lesson plan? Yeah. For example, this one. You can suggest your topic.
Actually, I have actually put one in the chat room, Doctor. Can you just try that one? A lesson sequence to teach medical terminology to medical undergraduates.
Okay, I could give you some very good prompt for this particular thing later. No? Okay, first try the lesson plan because it is for lesson plan like I think cardiology or maybe what the topics are. Anatomy of hand or
that's a body system. Let's say
anatomy of upper, lower part, be more specific to how to specify it. Anatomy
Let's say anatomy of a body.
Upper limb and lower limb. Anatomy of upper limb and lower limb.
Yeah, upper limb. Yeah, very good. So the subject specialist, so upper limb. Now, let's say what the lesson plan is. A grade level already set to high school. So we need to write down the grade level as well.
I see. Yeah.
It is taken by itself. Only the subject specialist can comment on that. For example, objective is to understand the anatomy of the upper limb and its real-world applications. A grade level is high school. One can change it. Maybe in the next prompt we can change it. Duration is 90 minutes. What materials you need in order to do this? Introduction, body, activities, conclusion, assessment. So this is a whole lesson plan for 90 minutes. I don't know whether it is, for example, I change the level from the level from, which one is that one, grade high school? High school from high school to undergraduate.
To make it very complex, to
undergraduate students, undergraduate medical students, undergraduate medical students. So please, those medical doctors should tell me whether it's reasonable or.
It's excellent so far. It's excellent.
Okay, because only the subject specialist could be the judge. By the way, my daughter is in first year MBBS, but she is not convinced with ChatGPT. She says, "Oh, it's very simple. It gives all very simple answers now." Yeah, but I think one can improve the prompt to get a better output. This is what we have to actually the take home message. I mean, just not believe in one prompt. It is an iterative process that I told you.
Yeah.
Okay, so now move on to the next topic because we are 13. 16th is 13th lesson plan. We have done that. Then anticipate the response you would expect from AI. And I have already discussed probably, because we need to anticipate what actually it should come. So this is something where we can learn a lot. I'm skipping that. Take several responses and make a better product. That's very important. That is what the regenerating response comes. Utilize ChatGPT ability to generate multiple responses by providing a topic of interest and then prompt students to generate multiple responses. Individually or in a group, students can review and take the best part from those responses. If we, let's say, 10 different responses for the same topic, and then you see which response is superior, which is inferior, or whatever your interest is, your final product is something else, so you want to optimize the output of your final product. So that actually, the real learning comes because you are not just accepting it one response. You need to do the critical thinking, which this one is superior, this one is have this fault, and then later you can even ask ChatGPT, I believe there's this thing, this response has this problem, and then obviously you ask ChatGPT to rethink, and probably you're going to get another response. So this is what the debate and the discussion session should take place. So in order to strengthen the topic, obviously the interest is to teach the topic. And I think it is teacher's job to be more relevant to the topic now. And there are different types of prompts for multiple responses. I mean, this one is quite a good one. The first one, design a solar powered irrigation system for a small scale farm in a developing country. So this is important. Students can use ChatGPT to generate multiple responses related to topics such as solar power, water management, agricultural and sustainable development. They can then review and combine the best part of these responses to create a more effective and comprehensive design for the irrigation system. So you can use it in design thinking as well. By the way, there is a term called design thinking I have used as one of the topic, but we have limited time today, so we can't go into every topic. Okay, next is to create personalized learning experiences. I have already discussed, you can tailor it for students' interest. I'm skipping it. Provide tutoring and coaching, which I have already discussed. Generate prompts and questions to facilitate discussions, collaborative work. This is something you can do, and provide information and answer questions. Supplement in-person instructions. I've already told you that, for example, if some place there is no teacher available and you're handicapped or either you cannot afford it, but using ChatGPT, you can do a lot. I have put some of the useful prompts for the educators and because we are teaching for engineering education. So, the last slide is ChatGPT is not just a machine. It is a gateway to the world of knowledge and a source of limitless curiosity. So this quote is created by ChatGPT, by the way, about ChatGPT. So this is what we need to believe, because it opens arenas which actually there is no limit for your curiosity. Better your prompt is, better would be the output now. And there is one more quote which is obviously from somebody else. Yuhijo Yamoto, start copying what you love. No? And if you do this process so many times, copy, and at the end of the copy, you will find your love now, yourself. Okay, so I want some time to have discussion. Yeah, because this is something, the topic I have created. Because last thing is you gave me one more. On the chat, somebody showed something. Yeah. You want. Sidra is asking about how we copy our chatbot as well to a Word document. There's always space in the visible text box. Please show this. I think you can use different setting of pasting. Paste is spatial, or just by right clicking, it provides you the so many options. So it's all about words, no? What is a good lesson sequence to teach medical terminology to medical undergrads now? Okay, so I just try to copy that stuff. And we need to just try to make it a prompt. What is a good lesson sequence to teach medical terminology to medical undergraduates? Okay, for example, there is, give me mnemonics to, medical की कोई term बताएं, give me mnemonics to remember
terminologies related.
Specific, to be very specific, give me mnemonics to remember something.
Adverse effects of aspirin.
What?
Adverse effects of aspirin.
I think this is a problem, no? I think something to adverse.
Dysphagia.
Actual.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dysphagia, polydipsia.
I mean, that's again something, for example, I remember it from chemistry, general chemistry, oxidation. No? I mean, because you are familiar with such oxidation reduction reactions. Just let's first see what actually good for. Give me a mnemonics to remember oxidation reduction reactions. And probably you are familiar with this because as we already know this, oil rig, oxidation is loss, reduction is gain. Leo the loin says, ger, Leo, red cat and ox. It is generating so many mnemonics to remember this. Or develop analogies to understand oxidation reduction reaction. Because I mean, I need to be the knowledge of the subject, otherwise I cannot say whether it's good or. A game of tug war, game of hot potato. Okay. If we, yeah, actually, yeah, some of the prompts probably would. I could not get a time, but some of them I would show you. For example, topic I can put it for an write a case study on the topic for undergraduate engineering level that promotes deeper understanding of the concepts and their practical application in real world. Right. Also, for example, the topic is heat exchangers. Because you can change to engineering to some others also, but just to get an idea. The case study is about designing a heat exchanger for a chemical plant. It develops the small case study, its questions and answers also, but basics. For example, problem-solving activities. Okay. Cardiology. I don't know this keyword. Let's try. Any problem-solving activity क्या है? Diagnosis and treatment of patient with heart condition.
Mm-hmm.
Is it a real-world scenario? I don't know. So, I mean, problem-solving activity and maybe some, because we have engineering teachers teaching engineering subjects, problem-based learning question. generate I just put the same topic as thermal equilibrium.
Sir, I have a question. Can I ask it now?
Yeah.
Yeah. So my question is that when we give assignments to students, students are able to do normally the type of assignments that we give, they are able to do those assignments very easily using ChatGPT without putting in much effort. So, in your opinion, which kind of assignments can we make which cannot be cheated by using ChatGPT?
Activity based, which requires certain development, design work, design project, something you can, even in the whatever they have done is, you can ask them, okay, whatever the output is, give your personal responses, personal understanding, personal reflection. For example, ChatGPT gives a certain answer. Okay, these are the possible choices, but just give your own choices. Ask them to, okay, can you give some your own choices? Is it yours own choice or somebody else's choice? I mean, we can easily find out. I mean, you can easily find out these are my words, these are my statements, or these belongs to something else. For example, here, this one is open-ended lab project.
Yes, okay.
Once I gave open-ended lab, you need to give an open-ended because there is no one unique answer. Different people, different methodology end up with different answers. And just make it more something where they cannot get it. Because I will give you one of the example of my problem I gave, probably if I have it. Let me find out. For example, a complex problem. Yeah, this one. For example, I have this complex engineering problem for the topic of heat exchangers. No? So here what I have asked is, for example, I just copy the same exactly. No? And asked ChatGPT to do this difficult job. It is developing rubric, but I haven't asked for rubric now. It's not useful at all.
Mm-hmm.
For example, I gave the different vehicles. For example, it could be 800, 600cc, 800cc, 1000cc, and their radiator size is different. So what they need is to correlate how the heat transfer area changes with the engine displacements. And this is something they need to do by themselves. So they need to market research. They need a good literature review. This ChatGPT can't do the literature review because it is not up to date information. And obviously, so this is how one can. I mean, you need to use your head because it's not so simple. Because I made this rubric to assess that particular problem, and this because we have been doing it in this fall 2019 without having this ChatGPT, but even ChatGPT can't help it. So it is up to the teachers to come up with something more unique, something, or for example, whatever they have given, just go and check first to ChatGPT and then design your question. For teachers, the good thing is they can use ChatGPT to design their questions. Mm-hmm. And not just this one particular, but actually for example, like if you ask to solve the known problem, which I do know the answers, then you have some understanding. For example, I go to the I don't know whether I have it in this USB, but let me find out. The lectures for HVD, hybrid vehicles in drive. Yeah. So, for example, I have the lecture on energy battery parameters. Might be battery parameters too, probably. Have this question here. Maybe battery charging, no. Storage. It's such a question, and I should actually give you I should compare the known answers, because then probably it here is. Maybe, for example, okay, I have this very simple question, so students will be able to solve it in no time. A 24-volt lead acid bank comprising of 12 single cells, each supply 2 volt. The capacity is 600 ampere hour. Calculate the capacity of the battery in kilowatt hour.
Yeah.
No problem, no? Very simple, no?
Yeah. So I mean, what you're basically saying is it's important to personalize, to make the actual question as unique as possible, so that there shouldn't be generic, too generalized answers taken from.
Generalize, as well as sometimes requires abstract understanding.
Yeah.
For example, if they have some abstract understanding, for example, this ChatGPT, what is energy? What is energy?
Yeah, exactly. So you can expect any sorts of answer under there.
Yeah. It doesn't give. Because I know what the concept of energy is. Being a subject specialist, I know that it is just a physics definition. There's is a property or characteristic of matter. It's absolutely wrong. Because some matters are energetic, some are less energetic. That's not true.
See.
So I'm not happy with this, no? Because I'm a subject specialist. I know this is not correct. So what I need is the concept of energy. Let's say if I ask to give me the concept of energy, still I don't get it. Still, okay, give concept of energy, keeping the concepts of entropy and exergy. Let's I try it out like that.
Probably you made a mistake in the prompt. Exertion, you said energy again.
No, exergy is a terminology. It understands actually exergy.
Oh, I see. Okay. I heard something different. Okay.
That benefits the domain is specific, no?
I see.
Because it is just giving me the definition of each, no?
I see.
But it is not giving me the concept of energy, what I know as a subject specialist. So it is useless, no?
See.
So it means it has its own limitations. I mean, I'm telling you so many times that, okay, take it as a tool where it is good at. And there is no tool which is a perfect tool.
Yeah, 100%.
but it is quite a useful tool. There's no doubt about it. Yeah, but the human intelligence, the understanding of subject domain knowledge is nobody is going anywhere. No? The teachers are not going, the doctors are not going, the lawyers are not going. This is just people have rumors, but because your subject knowledge, for example, whatever it gives you based on some text, but you don't have a clinical evidence. You need to see the patient, then you exactly know what actually the symptoms are and what actually the person is describing might be wrong. The symptoms are different clinically. So, I mean, the subject domain specific knowledge would always be required and need people. So, but as a tool, it is a tool and you need to take use of that tool. Now, I think we have a good session and I hope in these 2 days of sessions, you have got a good introduction and you have used it to a second level where you can use it, obviously, but there are advanced level which probably in future NED could offer. This is, I would say, just an introduction.
It was really, really great for all of us, Doctor. Thank you very much for all the great ideas. I just started from the zero, and now I'm confidently saying that I'm able to operate the whole thing.
Yeah, I mean, that's a good feedback, and I'm happy that we need to put efforts because it is just a beginning, and I would say need to practice as much as you can so that your prompts are improved. This is what prompt engineering is all about. And in engineering also, we are not interested on one single solution. You have different possible solutions and you need to optimize the solution. That is what optimization is actually the key. And obviously there are some constraints and there's some limitations and we have to live with that. We don't have infinite resources available for anything. So thank you very much, everybody, and I hope it would be productive and we could do something more as well, specifically for different areas, but generally, at least from a layman or from just a novice, you have some better understanding of the tool and its limitations and how it works and how it can be used effectively. And today we are focusing more towards teachers and the how to use it in the classrooms. But it is equally good to do it as a learner, not as a teacher, but as a learner and improve the understanding, and then you will be in a position to tell others. Thank you very much. I think the time is also up, and I wish you good luck for your future endeavors.
So much, sir.